The whole point of our healing journey is returning to wholeness and returning to, who we truly are, our authentic self. And I think a lot of people think that if I embrace this side of myself or look at this side of myself, it'll bring up too much shame. It'll bring up too many negative emotions. It's hard to look at myself negatively because it feels uncomfortable. But I can tell you it's very liberating. And to me, when you bring your self awareness to a certain level, it's like nobody can really say anything about you that you don't already know and that you're actively working on changing. You're listening to Sensitive, Spiritual, and Successful, the podcast where we uncover ways to connect you back to your soul self and get you unstuck so that you can live out your full potential. I'm Jasmine Lynn, a former psychotherapist turned human design soul guide and EFT tapping success coach, and I'm here to show you how to love yourself through all your levels of growth. I know you're here because you have an impact you want to make in this world and you have a light to share, and I'm here to guide you through that journey because you deserve soul-aligned success. Hi everyone, in today's episode I'm going to be going over shadow work and really simplifying it for you. If you are somebody who is embarking on their healing journey or this aspect of their healing journey, I'm telling you that it is, or it can be, a lot more simple than you might be making it in your head. And I will explain the benefits around why integrating our shadow, which really just means, being aware of the things that we repress and suppress, and being aware of when we are judging and criticizing others and what it actually means about us instead of them, right? So that is a little bit about shadow work and why we want to do it. The whole point of our healing journey is returning to wholeness and returning to, who we truly are, our authentic self. And I think a lot of people think that if I embrace this side of myself or look at this side of myself, it'll bring up too much shame. It'll bring up too many negative emotions. It's hard to look at myself negatively because it feels uncomfortable. But I can tell you it's very liberating. And to me, when you bring your self-awareness to a certain level, it's like nobody can really say anything about you that you don't already know and that you're actively working on changing. I think that is how we bring more peace and love into the world, when we can integrate these parts of ourselves and really just, love all parts of ourselves. It doesn't help us when we are repressing and suppressing who we are. So also, when I think about shadow work in terms of, going after our goals and being ambitious, which is what this podcast is all about, we need a solid foundation in order to embark on our goals that are meaningful to us. We really need to know who we are. If we don't have that solid foundation and we start going after things, that's when you can see a lot of force and push, and it's rocky and unstable, and you're doing things because you think you should be doing things. You're not actually aligned to your authentic self. So shadow work is a pathway that actually leads to greater self-love and self-compassion. And I know that it might be hard to understand that when you think about shadow work, or you're like, oh, I have to confront parts of myself that I don't really want to look at. I don't want to build that self-awareness. It's easier to just shove it under a rug. But I can tell you that the work is really great because it does allow you to see yourself in a greater light. And you can see where you're holding yourself back, where you're keeping yourself stuck. That shadow work can help you do that. It can unlock potential, and it doesn't have to be hard. So some signs that you might need shadow work is if you are somebody who judges people about certain things, or you see people following their dreams or doing things and it kind of bugs you, or you're, criticizing people as you're scrolling through social media, oh, look at that person. Who does she think she is? Those might be signs that you could, work on your shadow, because when you really think about it, life is not meant to be spent judging other people. What you should be focusing on is yourself and how to better yourself and then better the world and be of service to others. And so if you're stuck in this loop of doing this, or even maybe even judging yourself, it might be some signs that you might need shadow work. So we all project onto each other. Okay, it's human, but you want to be a human who's like aware when you're doing this and rise above this whole making yourself feel like crap or blaming someone else. And yeah, 9 times out of 10, you want what the other person has, or a part of you wants what the other person has. You wish that you could be more outgoing, or you wish you could make more money like the person, or you wish you had more confidence like the person. Like, there's a part of you that kind of wants it, but you're not allowing yourself to say that. And on some level, in some cases, this could be like your soul telling you that this is for you. You just have to work on getting out of that limited way of thinking and keeping yourself stuck by criticizing and judging. Again, it's okay to feel what you feel, but you have to take responsibility for it and really listen to what it is that is actually happening. And that's just part of being, like I said, human. But the magical part of shadow work and doing the inner work is building that self-awareness. And when you build that self-awareness, like I said, no one can really use that against you. You can kind of use that observer stance, when you're like, oh, I'm thinking this. Oh, I wonder why I'm thinking this. I wonder what that's bringing up for me. What am I making this mean about myself? Um, Honestly, that is a way more conscious way of living than just getting stuck in the judgment and then feeling those emotions and allowing other people to dictate how you feel. That's giving your power away. So we want you to feel more empowered and feel like you have the power. And that is through upleveling your consciousness. So in 2020, I rewatched a video that I made. I was shaking on Instagram Live and I talked about 3 things that really propelled me into greater change. And it was shadow work, inner child work, and nervous system regulation. Okay, so obviously I'm going to go into just shadow work right now and simplifying it for you. And I don't think that it needs to be like super, super dark. Like it's like the dark side of your psyche and stuff like that. It's like, no, like where are you holding yourself back? Where are you giving your power away? And where are you not being honest with yourself? Especially if you're like a people pleaser, it's easier to bite your tongue. So, something I would recommend, some practical tools before we end this conversation is if you are feeling something, just write it out, feel it, vent and tap. Episode 7 with Dr. Peta Stapleton, she talks about just venting and tapping and rewiring that neurological pathway. Just say what you need to say. And if you are somebody that holds back from really saying how you truly feel, this is a good practice for you. It's okay to feel how you feel. It's okay to be annoyed. And I think a lot of people are afraid, especially if they have this identity of themselves or version of themselves is like, I need to be, love and light and I need to be really good, or I don't want to go there about how I truly feel. No one needs to know. Do it by yourself. Journal it out. The more you suppress it, the bigger and stronger it gets. And that can lead to resentment and just bigger things. So practical tool number 1 when it comes to shadow work, vent. Like just consciously vent. Just know that you are complaining. When we look at consciously complaining and feeling your feelings, this is often for people who are afraid to actually just like say how they truly feel. And this can be super, super liberating to express themselves in this way and just see that it's okay to feel anger. It's okay to feel annoyed. It's okay that things are bothering you. This is all part of shadow work and realizing that you don't need to avoid feelings. You know that you can still be good and feel these feelings. And there's also another layer to it. Now, like I said, if you are somebody who judges and criticizes other people, another practical way you can look at shadow work is when you are judging someone or what they're doing and it like really bothers you. I'm going to use the word again. It triggers you. Just reflect and see if there's like aspects of yourself that you have or that you do that person does. I'm going to say 8 times out of 10, this is very true. So you're like, oh my God, that person is so, for me, I'll give you an example. Someone was like very doting and would like do too much for me and like just care too much. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I hate this. And there was a part of me that had to create this persona of like, I'm independent. I can do everything myself. But when I really looked at it, like when it came to my dogs, this was before kids where I was doing this work. When it came to my dogs, I was like way too much, would do way too much. Like, oh my God, what do they need? Oh my gosh, I need to help them. Oh my gosh. And then when I look back in my past, like even in high school, I remember I gave away my iPod because this person was walking to school every day and he looked really bored and I knew that I could afford a new iPod. So I was like, hey, do you want this to make your walk, I don't know, better? And like, is that not wild? Like, I cared way too much. My heart was way too open. Obviously they took it, but I'm like, looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just would want everyone to be safe and feel comfortable. And it was uncomfortable for me to watch them, even though they might not have been uncomfortable, but I just projected that onto him. It's like, take this so that you have something to do and you feel comfortable. And then so when somebody was doing that to me, I was like, ugh, stop it. But also past me, ugh, stop it. That is just one very small example of shadow work. I would get so angry at this person or like angry about what they were doing when really I do it or I've done it and I haven't forgiven myself or I didn't realize that I was a person who did that and I created a new persona who like just pretended like I wasn't like that, but really deep down I was. So that is shadow work. That is a start to shadow work. Bring some more awareness around things that bother you and looking at it. I don't know. I was just very divinely inspired to talk about simplifying shadow work for you if you are somebody on your healing journey or working on building something for yourself, working towards a goal, building a business. It's just worth doing. It's worth doing so you can stay in your own lane, so you can focus on yourself and focus on what it is you truly love to do. Okay, that is it for me, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. And that's it for today's episode. Please share it with anyone else who wants to learn more about human design or anyone who may be on their personal growth and spiritual development journey. You can DM me on Instagram to talk about what resonated with you, what you learned about yourself. I love hearing about human design in real life, so I really appreciate those conversations. And if you would like, you can leave a comment, a review, a rating, and subscribe to the podcast. That support means the world. Thank you so much for listening. I know time is a valuable currency. Take care.